So, welcome, Kevin, to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Chepang. This new album, I don't know how to pronounce this name because it's a different one. Yapa, I think. So, and
Yeah,
more things related to the metal world in general. So, we started by asking, how are you doing today? How is the band during the last couple years? Because your previous album from Swata was released in 2023, and now we have this new album upcoming.
yeah. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. And I know it took some time to get this new record out, but I think it's a pretty good record. We've just been writing and trying to record this album and then get it released. So, it took some time, but we are here.
Amazing. So now, when did you decide to start writing songs for this album? It was during the previous sessions from Swata, or it was just, oh, and perhaps there is all these songs are new, or do you rescue any composition for the previous album?
We had a couple of songs already during the last session, and then after that, everything is new, sort of.
Hmm. Okay. So now, one thing that captured my attention is that is your first release. It is one of the bigger labels in the world,
Mm,
that is Relapse Records.
mm.
And so, how was the or how was the enter to work with Relapse Records for this new album? Who
Yeah,
was put to contact first?
yeah. I mean, I know that Relapse used to, so the way it used to, so before all our records, I think previous records, 3 or 4 records, we self-released it, and I know for a fact that Relapse used to order those copies straight from the office.
Mhm.
And so the last record, we reached out to them to see if they were interested, and then I think the last record, though I was already ready to go with all marketing and stuff, so they couldn't do it. But the new one, this one, once it was recorded, we reached out again, and then everything came through.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Now, obviously now I saw that the band starts your career in Nepal, but then you decide to move to New York, mostly old bands, mostly old members of the band. So why do you decide to move completely to New York on United States and not
No,
continue?
no, that's wrong because we were never a band in Nepal. We were just different people, different times. And
Oh,
we
okay.
are, yeah, yeah, yeah. And we met in the US, We knew each other from some of us, we knew each other, Nepal, but it was not like a Chepang was a band in Nepal. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, I read that information on the web, in the social
Mm,
media.
mm. Okay,
So
okay.
that all the band moved to New York to work this. Oh, okay, I
Mm,
understand.
yeah.
So do you so for this case, did you consider that you are a band from, well, like more of members I think is from Nepal, or are all members are from US?
All members are from Nepal, except now we have someone Colombian American here. So
Colombian.
one.
Oh,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Oh, Latin America. Oh, amazing.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
now, great, great. So now, I remember when I hear for the first time Japan because I really like Chata.
Mm,
I purchased that one in CD. That a bit
mm.
difficult one to get in CD at that moment. So
Well,
because just the vinyl was released at that moment, and not the
mm,
CD was released
mm.
like 1 2 years later.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for how many things changed in the composition during the when you created the band and 2017, and then now you have this new album coming? How many things changed in the band, especially for
How,
the composition?
how many thing, meaning what? How many band members or music or what do you mean?
The composition process. How many things changed?
No,
Composition.
nothing changed. The process is the same. I write kind of the main riffs and whatever, then we jam with the drummer, and then everything after we make everything comes after. So the process does not change. What does change between every album is the sound and the inspiration or topics that we want to sing about, right? That's the only that thing that changes, not the way of making songs. You know what I mean?
Okay, okay, I understand for this. And now, so as you are living right now, all people living in New York. So why did you decide to put all your bands, all your names of the albums, with your mother tongue?
Because it feels natural for us to sing. There's sort of like if you it feels natural first of all, and then second of all, when you're singing in your mother tongue, the emotion. Like the energy that you want to portray is portrayed easily and the way you want it. But if you sing it in English, it doesn't make it like it doesn't feel the same. You know what I mean? The same intensity.
Okay. Oh yeah, that is cool. That is one thing.
Yeah.
So now all the thing when I try to relate, when I check, as I said, when I hear for the first
Mm,
Chepang Chata album, all the time the cover art from the album it was like the some abstract things, not something very related. So
yep.
in this case, so what is the concept of the behind of each cover art in Chata, then Swata, and then there's the Yapa, and
Mm.
obviously, why do you decide to put more and more like abstract things in the cover arts?
Because our music is abstract. We call ourselves a grindcore band, but sort of there's abstract lyrics, there's abstract meaning to behind the cover. It's just improvised, I would say, more of us. So there's meaning behind it, but you need to dig deep inside what it means. You know what I mean? So it's just the way we do things. Let's just say it. Chepang likes to do abstract music with abstract art.
Okay, and one thing is my capture my attention, obviously for the name. So what is the really meaning of Chepan? Chepan is because it's a mother tongue. It's from your Nepal.
Mm.
Nepal words. It's not English. It's not. So what is the exactly meaning that Nepal has for you?
Chepang is actually a nomadic clan. They don't have any nation, so it's basically a clan that it's an Indo-Burmese clan that lived in the jungle in Nepal, India. They don't really have a national, sort of like us. We don't we're like kind of, you know what I mean? We're nowhere, like we're not in Nepal, we're not we're not US citizens. It's sort of like nowhere in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So, that's why we put them in Japan.
Okay, I didn't know that. So and now
Yeah.
what is the meaning of the album? Because Japa, so
Hmm.
it's possible. It's for me. It's easily to find in Google Translator the meaning. But
Hmm.
sometimes when a band put a name in their mother tongue, it means a different things. Not usually Google Translate. So what is this? What
Hmm.
is the
Jap
perfect meaning for Japa?
Japa doesn't mean I mean, in album context, it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? It's just a slang word in Nepal. When you finish something
Mhm.
once, like boom, like the word boom, like it's kind of like a slang of saying boom. Like, okay, did you do something? Boom, it's done. Boom, that's Japa. So it doesn't mean anything in the album context, to be honest. You see how abstract, even the album name is abstract. You can take it different ways.
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if you look in Google, there's multiple meanings to Japa, like the finishing the work all of a sudden, and there's one more meaning. So
Mhm.
it's like whatever you make out of it.
Okay, but also, yes, you are true. When you try to find information with what it means, Yapa,
Mm,
Google Translate to provide more information about this, but there is
mm,
no meaning.
mm.
There is no exactly meaning. It's just like
No.
a word
Hmm.
in general.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay, interesting. So now, one thing that I denoted is that when Chepang, you are continuing creating music in US, all from Nepal. But one thing is that you lean down for the sound. Usually, this kind of abstract, this kind of noise thing, is because mostly of bands from New York, like Imperial Triphon, like Piron, or
Mm,
another bands more has this concept
yeah.
into the abstract music, into the
Avant-garde is what we
yeah,
call it.
avant-garde,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
for me, Pirong is like extreme music or Imperial Traffic is strict music, not like
Yeah.
they don't have a form, so just music in
Mm-hmm.
general. So for
Mm-hmm.
you, do you think that you has that influence for that is seen in New York that has this special sound like extreme music? Usually it's more abstract music, not specific one. So
Yeah.
and mhm,
I think New York City is such a big city, right? So with such a diverse culture, diverse music. So I think for the bands, it's to stand out, they have to be unique. you know, first of all, because you have so many bands, so many type of genres playing. So usually you see bands like this, abstract, avant-garde, that stand out, that want to stand out. So this is why I guess you see a lot of bands like that in New York City, you know?
Hmm, okay. So now other topic that is capturing my attention here because I don't know why recently, as I said, Imperial Drive and Pre-Run are capturing
Hmm.
attention for a lot of people about this kind of music and a lot of bands more are obviously
Yeah.
in New York. So and for me, it's one thing that captured my attention is because I remember when I read a review, when I read or when I hear music, all the time the noise from Japan is very involved on this kind of music. I don't know why, but it's something like that. So in these kind of things, when I hear Japan, I
Hmm.
also hear noise, but that noise from the 70s, for the Japan noise from the 70s, or more noise that appears during the 90s, like the Painkiller or like or another bands from from US, obviously. So do you think that the Japan noise now is a huge element into the music from New York?
No, no, no. It's just whatever whoever feels like. I don't think it's like a huge influence on anyone. You know, it's like it could be for you, it could be for me, like on a certain moment. You know what I mean? It's not heavy influence on any New York sort of music and scene or whatever. You know, it's just individual band taking inspirations.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Now talking about the promotion from this new album, what kind of promotion do you have for this new album? Perhaps you will embark in some tours, you will embark in some gigs, you are releasing more videos. What kind of promotion? Or perhaps you're already working on a new album, who knows?
We'll have a couple of videos coming up. I think there's one that's supposed to release tomorrow. For one song, and then in a couple of weeks we'll have another music video. Then we have a record release show coming up in July 5th in New York in TVI with our friends, a band called Latino punk band called Cartel. Uh, then Vixen Maw and Drugs of Faith. And we're planning some tour for West Coast probably in August. That's not like confirmed yet, but we probably will do it. So that's about it, I think. Not a lot, I would say.
Okay. Okay. So now talking about other kind of topics. So now, as you can see, now the music industry right now is moving with a different. It's a different like the 80s or the 90s
Mm,
or in the 80s and 90s. Now the music are now the music are more short in more things because there is a span attention and more things
mm,
related. One thing that is good for you is that your songs are very short. You are leaned out with the grindcore stuff because this is short music. Well, since the 2000s, more short music. But now, what is your point what is your point of view about now? The people are more focusing in just singles and not the entire albums.
mm. I don't really care about those people, to be honest. I'm more interested about creating an album, the process of creating an album. You know what I mean? Not single. Really, I don't care, to be honest. Like we don't care about singles. That's my point. Like I want a full album. I'm as a listener, if I'm listening, I listen to the full album. I don't listen to 10-second clips or singles like that. You know what I mean? And that's what I want to do with Chepang. It's not really about singles or short songs. It's a full album. I want it to be a journey for the listener to from side A to B. And just for you to know, that's how I create songs. I do not write songs, 10 songs, and at the end, once we record, we figure out what song goes one, two, three like this. I write song in on order. So when you listen to it, there's a flow to it from song one to song eight or nine, whatever the last song is. Even song side A to side B, there is like a flow in
Okay.
every on every record.
Mm.
That's intentional. So it's very important that we have an album and a full flow to it.
Yeah, well, I understand like that because I all the time purchase. I'm still purchasing CDs because
Mhm.
I'm coming from that era to purchase
I
albums,
understand.
hear the
Yeah.
music. That's for me like what I understand metal since the beginning, or
Yep.
extreme music since the beginning. So now talking about now, as you can see, there's 1,000 of releases per weekend. So what
Oh
can
yeah.
so there's 1,000 releases, not like the 80s or 90s. It's very
Yeah.
different. different.
yeah.
So now, how can you see? For most people, there is a good thing for the a scene because they think that there is more records, there are more bands, there are more musicians. But for another, people thinks that this is bad because the scene is too saturated and there's thousands of releases. There's 50 or 60 releases
Mm,
per week. That's not possible to hear any
mm,
kind of to hear any of this kind of stuff. So for this,
mm.
what's your point of all these overwhelming releases per weekend?
It's, I mean, for me, for one, I think I have to take it positive. It's good. We have more music. Maybe we don't have, maybe out of 100 releases, there's probably 10 that's very good. But I think it's only for the positive, right? People get to create, people get to put out music, no matter what the people think. It's a good outlet for people. It's art. Art is abstract. You can like one music that I don't like, right? But it's still there, right?
Yep.
So it's good. It's good. It's really good. You have to be positive. For Chepang, like if I specifically talk about Chepang, it's not really about that for us. Like we don't care like 1,000, 1 million album release every day. We don't care because we at the end we are making music for us. And people who knows us, those 100 people will always buy those 100 records. It doesn't matter what type of music we put out, they will always buy the
Mhm.
record, and that's how it goes. You know what I mean? No matter there's million trillion music like us. So that's really good overall.
Okay. Okay, so now one thing that captured my attention for the grindcore because I
Hmm.
was there when Carcass appeared, when Napalm Death appeared, the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
bands for the grindcore era. So, but at that moment, mostly all these kind of bands releasing albums from more than 30 minutes,
Mm,
brutal through the and extremes noise
mm,
terror, etc. And I have mostly of these kind of CDs I have here in
mm,
CDs,
mm,
and these records are more than 30 minutes. But
mm,
then, since the 2000s, the grindcore scene just releasing, for example, 15 songs is an album, but
mm,
the time is, or the full time, it is just 15 minutes, 21 minutes, not the
mm,
more than 30 minutes. And usually your album is more than 30 minutes, but it is
mm,
still an album because the grindcore
mm,
stuff or the grindcore concept is like that.
mm,
You can have a 10 or for 15 minutes, but it is still an album yet. For
mhm,
this one, so for you, why did you decide to create just shorter songs and create an album and not
mhm,
like the always like this kind of music? Because even Painkiller in the
mm,
90s, her first album is more than 40
mm,
minutes. It's such as noise. It's not like that, but
mm,
it's more than 40 minutes. But now mostly all bands for this scene, for the grindcore scene, are releasing albums for less than 30
mm.
minutes. So do you think that is like the so I don't know. What do you think about this one? Now the grindcore is more shorter than the initially was.
I don't really think like that because for us, like we have made records. The last record was more than
Mhm.
48 minutes. It
Yeah.
was two-sided, like four sides record. We
Mhm.
even did, I think, a full improvised record, collab record of more than 35, 40 minutes. I don't know, to be honest, like why grindcore used to be long and now short.
Mhm.
What my only guess is that, as before when Napalm Death came out, Carcass, they didn't know it was grindcore, right? They played fast. They
They
played
play.
fast, extreme
Mhm.
pain use, and it became grindcore. You know what I mean? But now I think while they progress, there's bigger, more grindcore bands who understood the sound of Napalm and took it to one more step, make it faster, 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 faster. So I guess for me, the only reason I would say you can't play fast 260 BPM or 270 BPM 5 minutes for one song. You'll be dead. So maybe that's why you have shorter songs, you know? For me, it's personally really I don't know, to be honest. Like for Chepang, I don't know. I have no clue why it becomes short.
Okay, okay.
And I don't focus on that piece too because for me, I understand this record is really short.
Mhm.
But the idea was to make it short because the last record we made was a big album, a lot of music, a lot of time. This album I wanted to be on the point, in and out. You hit it, you go out, like bam, 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 like a small heavyweight champ.
Mhm. Okay.
No
Okay.
left and right. So
Okay, that is true. That is true.
yeah,
So
yeah,
now, another thing that is denoted into the extreme music is
yeah,
that, as you can see, there is a great musicians now. It's not like
yeah,
the
yeah,
80s
yeah.
nights, no.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
there is no. the people now has more involved with technology. They're more time.
Yep.
I don't know. There's the now the album sounds perfectly. There's no
Mm-hmm.
any kind of mistakes. There's a
Mm-hmm.
standardization sound in all records. But
Uh-huh.
now, and what's your point of view about this one? This the standardization of the sound into the extreme music, because especially since the extreme music was created for the first bands for the 80s or 90s,
Mm-hmm.
since then the musicians are continue fast, are continue playing more technique,
Mm-hmm.
etc., etc. And that is why now a lot of bands plays perfect, a lot of band musician plays perfect. So what is your
Mm-hmm.
point of view about now this standardization of the sound in all in extreme music especially?
I mean, it's natural, right? Everything has to progress. Everything has to go through technology. Everything has to be better every time, right? It's
Mhm.
natural it's natural for me. For Chepang, it's never been about that. We don't consider ourselves a perfect band. We every album you listen is different. We have happy accents there. We have people shouting. If you really listen to songs in the tracks, we don't play in metronome. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's I guess it's to every band has their own thing. You still have old bands like Melvin still playing imperfect but so good. You know what I mean?
Correct. Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what people do whatever they want. Like I don't have anything to say. I guess it's just technology. Wood
Mm.
records definitely are cleaner, right? Because the recording equipment gear has been so much advanced now, which is good sometimes.
Mhm.
In the context of things and music, sometimes it's bad. Like
Mm.
sometimes you want to listen to a punk record, dirty, right? You don't want a clean punk record.
Mhm.
So it really at the end matters to what the artist wants to do, right? So like, if they want a clean record, they do a clean record, It's good. To be honest, it's good. You have the flexibility of doing so many things with technology.
Okay, okay. Well, Kevin, we come to the sad moment of this interview. I hope you enjoyed
Hmm.
this one interview. Thank you very much for your time. The name again is very difficult one. So the Japa is a
Yeah.
great one. Japa is a great one. As
Hmm.
I hear your band many well in 2020 since your album Chata. So
Hmm.
great album by the way. So perhaps do you wanna add something to your Latin American fans and obviously Metallica followers?
See you soon. Hopefully, we'll see you in Latin America, South America, uh, you know, um, good luck. Happy listening.